Well, welcome to session 2 of our 5-part financial life series. How many enjoyed last week? How many learned some things last week? Sure. That's good. I got a call from my dad this afternoon. He and my mom, they were looking at last week's message, and one of the things that Dad brought up to me, there are many different strategies that you can use to pay off debt early.
Yeah.
I showed you the one last week where we were paying off the mortgage by paying next month's principal on this month's payment. Another thing that my dad reminded me, he said that a banker once told him, if you take out a loan, let's say you're starting a mortgage on a house, the day that you open up the mortgage, pay a payment. Instead of waiting until your first payment, because a lot of times your first payment isn't due for 4 weeks or maybe 6 weeks or whatever. And what a lot of people will do is they will treat that as, oh, I got a vacation this month, I don't have to pay a payment. But if you do pay that payment, and if you put the whole thing towards your principal, the accruement of that interest over the life of the loan, you're going to save thousands of dollars and even shave a few months off of your loan by doing that. Another strategy that Louise and I were talking about the other day, how many people are paid biweekly? A lot of people are paid biweekly. Yeah. Well, since your finances are already on a biweekly schedule, but your mortgage payment is on a monthly schedule, instead of paying your mortgage monthly, pay half of it biweekly. And what that will do is, since there's 52 weeks in a year, you're going to end up paying 13 payments over the course of 1 year instead of 12.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you're also saving yourself the accruement of the interest over that first half of the month, right? Because interest accrues over time. Yeah. So that's another strategy that you can do, is just pay half of your mortgage every 2 weeks rather than paying your entire mortgage once a month. So that's another strategy. Last week we talked about God's plan for our finances. He tells us in Jeremiah 29, his plan is to prosper us. But there is a plan that prospers us, right?
Yes.
My plan is to prosper you. So if you want to prosper, you got to have a plan. Yes. You have to figure out what the plan is. God desires, he wishes above all things that we would prosper and be in health. Right now, we've got record inflation. We've got 20% of the stock market lost 20% of its value this past year. We've lost our energy independence. Analysts are saying that 2023 is probably going to be worse than 2022, but we have a different covenant. Amen?
Amen.
And if we can exercise wisdom, and if we can exercise godly direction in our finances, we don't have to be affected by a bad economy like the rest of the world is. So, last year we had a big housing craze that went on for a while. And we saw housing going up and up and up and up, and people were buying. Well, that's over with. Now they're predicting that it's going to start to dip in 2023. Christians need to be prepared for what's coming. Amen? And most of all, Christians need to remember, no matter what the circumstances are, we always live by faith.
Amen.
Amen? Doesn't matter if the economy's up, if the economy's down, stock market's up, stock market's down, you live by faith.
Right.
If you're sick, if you're healthy, you live by faith. No matter what you're going through, you live by faith. So last week we started off talking about debt management a little bit. I want to share a few more things about debt management tonight. I showed you the amortization schedule technique for paying off your mortgage, which I think is a great way to pay off your mortgage quickly. We talked about debt. We talked about using that amortization schedule to pay down your loan. But tonight I want to take the debt reduction a step further, and then after that we're going to look at spending. So if you are in debt and you want to get out of debt, The first thing that you need to do is you need to take stock of what your current situation is. I believe Jesus said that if you're going to build a building, you need to count the cost, right? So if you're going to try to figure out how to get out of debt, you need to count the cost. You need to figure out what it's going to take in order for you to get out of debt. So what I did, I put together a sample list, just an example of what somebody might be facing in their finances as far as debt. And so I'm going to show you the debt example that I came up with. In this example, we've got a couple that have a home mortgage, they have a car loan, they have 2 credit cards, and they have a student loan that they're trying to pay off. The home mortgage is a $250,000 mortgage at 6% interest. That's the same example that we used last week. We got a car loan of $24,000 at 1.9% interest for 5 years. We've got a credit card of $1,200 at a 12% interest rate, and that's revolving credit, so it doesn't really have a deadline to pay off like a regular loan would. It's revolving credit. And then you've got credit card number 2 is a $5,500 balance at a 21% interest rate, and that's also revolving credit. And then we've got a student loan of $11,000 and 8% interest rate for 10 years. So you got a total debt owed, if you add all those together, a total debt of $291,700. Now, the first thing that you need to do when you're trying to figure out how to pay off your debt, you need to ask yourself, which debt do I have? Which one is most crippling? So by looking at this screen right here, can anyone tell me which debt they think is probably the most crippling debt? Go ahead.
The 21%.
The 21%. Great. I'm glad you said that, because that is exactly what I would say. Now, some people might look at it and they'd say, well, the home mortgage, that's the most crippling debt because it's $250,000. That's $250,000 of debt. But one thing about a home is a necessity. You got to have a place to live, right? So I wouldn't call the home necessarily a crippling debt. And on top of that, real estate, homes typically, not always, but typically appreciate in value over time. Yeah. So I really wouldn't call the home a crippling debt. And even though the car loan, that's a lot of money there, $24,000. A car is also a necessity. You need transportation in order to get through life in our society. Yeah. These days you need transportation. But the interest rate on that car is only 1.9%. So I wouldn't call that one the most crippling debt. I believe, as Holly just pointed out, and I think Nick said it too, that the credit card at a 21% interest rate, that's a pretty crippling debt. That should be a priority. So, and by the way, it's not uncommon to see credit cards that have interest rates of well over 20%. Yeah. Has anybody ever had a credit card that had an interest rate over 20%? Yeah, so that's not an uncommon thing. So to get rid of your debt, you need to attack the one that's hurting you the most. So what I came up with in this example, we've got the home mortgage is a monthly payment of $1,500. We saw that last week. It was actually, was it $1,498 or something like that? I just rounded it up, $1,500. Thank you. The car loan is $420 for 60 months. The credit card, the $1,200 credit card is $30 a month. The $5,500 credit card is $138 a month. And the student loan is $133 a month for 120 months, 10 years. Okay. By the way, the credit card minimum payment, it's different with different credit cards, but most credit cards charge you, the monthly payment is usually somewhere around 2.5% of the total debt that you owe on that card. So that's where I came up with the $30 a month and the $138 a month on those two credit cards. Typically, it's 2.5%. Now, some credit cards are lower than that. And you might say, well, that's great. I've got a low monthly payment on my credit card. Well, if your payment is too low and your interest rate is too high, then you'll actually never be able to pay off your debt on your credit card because the payment doesn't equal the interest that's on the card. So you've got to be mindful about those kinds of things. Okay, so we've got a total outgo per month of $2,221. What's our total outgo per month?
$2,221.
$2,221. Okay, so last week when I was giving you the example of the strategy to pay off your mortgage, we were looking at paying those extra principal payments. And does anybody remember what those extra principal payments were? About how much? Yeah, so the extra payment itself, just by itself, was about $250 on the principal payment on top of the monthly mortgage payment. So what we were talking about last week was adding $250 to your payment in order to pay that down. Well, in this scenario, I changed it up. Instead of adding $250 a month, we're just going to add $60 a month, just to kind of get the ball rolling and try to pay this debt off a little faster. And again, we're making credit card number 2. That's going to be our priority because it's a 21% interest rate. So what we're going to do, we're going to add, well, before we do that, one thing that I would suggest that you do, and only you'll have to go to your bank and figure out if this is even possible. But credit cards will allow you to do balance transfers. And so if you have a credit card that's at a 21% interest rate and you have another credit card that's at a 12% interest rate, if there's room on the 12% card, take the debt that's on the 21% card and move it to the 12% card, because that way you're cutting your interest almost in half. Okay? So you can do that, and that's a great step right there. So what I did was I just adjusted this just now. We're going to call credit card number 2 is paid off. I moved the balance to credit card number 1, and so it now only has a 12% interest rate instead of a 21% interest rate. Credit card number 2 is paid off. Now, after you pay off credit card number 2, don't close your credit card account. And I'm going to come back to that in a minute, and I'm going to explain why. But closing your credit card account can damage your credit score. And I'll explain that in a few minutes. Okay. So what we've done is we've transferred credit card number 2 to credit card number 1. Our monthly payment on credit card number 1 is now $168. So our total outgo per month hasn't changed. It's still $2,221. But what we're going to do now, like I mentioned a moment ago, let's add $60 a month to our debt payments, and let's see how fast we can pay off our debt with just adding $60 a month. So what we did here is I added $60 to the credit card payment. So instead of $168 a month on my credit card, I'm paying $228 a month on the credit card. And what is my total outgo per month now? $2,281. $2,281. So what I've done, and I've already done the math on this, I've added $60 a month to my total outgo of my debt, and I've taken that $60 and I've applied it to my credit card. And if you notice, my credit card payoff is no longer 45 months. It's only 33 months. I just knocked an entire year off of the payoff of my credit card by adding $2 a day, $60 a month. Okay? So that tells you how powerful it is when you add a little bit of money to your debt payment, how much time and also how much money you're going to save when you pay off the debt more quickly. Okay, so after 33 months, your debt on credit card number 1 is paid off after 33 months. So you still have your home mortgage, you still have your car loan, and you still have your student loan. So what is your total outgo per month?
Keep it the same.
There you go. That's the answer. You keep it the same. It's still $2,281 a month. Why? Because you're not out of debt yet. Okay? So just keep that total outgo of $2,281. Keep paying that until you're debt free. But now what we're going to do is we are going to take the money that we were paying on the credit card and we're going to add that to the car loan. So we were paying $228 a month on the credit card. We've added it to the car loan. So now we're paying $648 a month on the car loan. And instead of paying the car off in 27 months, now it's only paid off in 17 months. We've knocked 10 months off of the car loan payment. You see how that works?
I thought originally the car loan was 5 years.
It was, but it took us 33 months to pay off the credit card, and now another 17 months to pay off the car loan. All right? So, all right. So now that we have paid off the car loan, we've paid off 2 credit cards. We have all that we have left is our home mortgage and our student loan. So what's our total outgo per month? $2,281 a month, because we're not out of the woods yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the money that we were paying on the credit card and the money that we were paying on the car loan, we're going to add that to the student loan. Now we still have 70 months left on the student loan, but once we add that extra money, it's going to take it down to 15 months.
Wow.
You add that $648 to the $133, you get $781 a month that you're paying on your student loan. You've just knocked off 55 months on the student loan. So you're going to pay that off in just a little over a year, 15 months. All right. So now the credit cards are paid off. The car loan is paid off. The student loan is paid off. And what's our total outgo per month? The same. $2,281. So now we're going to pay $2,281 on our home mortgage. Now, how many months do we have left on the mortgage right now? 295 months. But if we add that $781 to make it $2,281, we knock it down to 113 months.
Wow.
You've just knocked 15 years off of your mortgage. And you've saved yourself, I believe it was $147,000.
Whoa.
You saved yourself $147,000 in interest on the mortgage alone, let alone the interest that you saved on the credit cards, the car loan, and the student loan. You see how powerful that is?
Yes.
And it all started with $60. All right? Now, one thing that I mentioned is your monthly outgo does not change until you're debt free. Okay? So that means you're going to have to stay focused. You're going to have to stay determined.
Yeah.
You're going to have to stay tenacious. You're going to have to be vigilant. You can't quit. You didn't acquire debt overnight, so you're not going to get out of debt overnight. Amen? Because, this whole process took 15 years. But that's 15 years that you saved on your home mortgage. It would have taken you 30. So, before I go any further, I want to ask this question and kind of open up the room for discussion. Has anybody ever paid off a debt that at one point you thought in your life was insurmountable? Anybody want to talk about it?
I will.
Yeah.
I'm going through where I'm still paying off, but like last year, it was awful. And I'm about to pay off. So what ended up happening was it started with, I sowed a seed. Right, and so the seat I was expecting, what I wanted though, I didn't get, but what I got instead was better, because what happened was, first I took my car loan from one bank, I went to Suncoast to see if they could lower my interest, so they cut my interest in half. So that saved me like $50 a month on my car payment, right?
Good.
Then, plus, so a year ago I owed like almost $11,000. I just looked at it and I only owe $6,500 right now because I still been paying the $250. So even though I went down, I kept paying the same amount.
Good.
Right? So then I had about $13,000 worth of debt just with credit cards.
Okay.
Right? And so when I applied for that car loan, Suncoast offered, they're like, well, you also qualify for this credit card and it's $6,500 and you can transfer your money, whatever other debt, and the interest rate is 5.5% for the life of it. So normally when you have those, it's like, we'll transfer it for like the first 13 months.
Right.
But this one wasn't like that.
Okay.
And so remember I asked Louise is like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So I transferred half the debt to that 5%. So in a year, it's not even a year yet, it'll be a year the 1st of March. I've paid off $1,200, wait, 65, now we're at almost 5,000. So $1,500 is paid off on that. And then at the same time, Wells Fargo was like, hey, you're pre-qualified for a personal loan, you can use it for whatever, blah, blah. And because Louise had said, well, see if you can find something where you can lower your interest rates. Because some of my credit cards were like 26% interest.
Yeah.
It's
And it was
just
like,
ridiculous.
it was never coming
Yeah.
down, right? And so I applied and I qualified. So that interest rate is 13%. And so basically it's $177 for 3 years.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna end up being out of debt if I just pay the schedule in 3 years. My car payment will be paid off probably sooner than that. And the $13,000 worth of stuff that would have taken me like, I think I figured out like 10 to 15 years depending on it. And I'll be out of debt from all of that in 2 more years.
Awesome.
Already
Awesome.
2 years.
Great.
So
Really good.
I saved probably, I think I calculated about $10,000 in interest from those.
Yes. That's
Wow.
$10,000 of hard labor. That's $10,000 of week after week paychecks.
So I
that-
know, like, I was paying every month and it just, like, the debt never went down. And I'm actually getting ready to pay off another, like, a credit card that I didn't include in those because it was like a 0 interest because it was like care credit.
Yep.
So some doctor bills or whatever. That is about to be paid off. So that was like $1,500.
Uh-huh.
So I paid off about $4,500 in debt in a year.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, just.
Yep.
That's great.
So.
Remember one thing, interest is money that you'll never get back. You know, once it's in the bank's hands, you know, principal is money that you can get back because if you're paying on a house, at the end of the day, you've got the house or you've got the car or whatever. But interest is money that you'll never get back. So if you can find any way to lower your interest, to consolidate your loans, I will give you one word of advice though. Whenever you're doing any kind of a consolidation loan or a refinance of your house or anything like that, remember, we saw it in the amortization schedule last week. When you start a mortgage, the majority of your payment is going towards interest, right? So when you refinance your house, let's say that you had a 30-year loan and you got 12 years into your loan and you decided, I want to refinance. Well, when you refinance, that's fine, but understand that the amortization starts all over again.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you're going to be paying huge amounts of interest in the beginning of that refi. So you might look at it and you say, well, you know, I saved myself on my monthly payment. I'm saving money. Well, maybe you're saving on your monthly payment, but are you paying more in the interest? Yeah. You definitely are in the beginning part of the loan. So keep that in mind.
If you were to do that and say, take that money that you were paying extra in interest, like because you lowered your payment and put it towards principal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were already paying that amount of money on your debt anyway, that kind of goes back to what we were just saying. Your monthly outgo doesn't change unless you want to increase it to pay it off even faster. Okay? So once you pay something off, or once you pay something down, or once you get it into a lower interest rate, don't decrease the amount that you're paying on it. Keep paying that same amount, because you've already demonstrated that you could pay that amount. So just keep paying that amount, and it'll get paid off faster than it would have. Okay. One other thing I was going to say is, I mentioned a moment ago, when you pay off the credit card, don't close the credit card account. Okay, let me explain what I meant by that. I want you to imagine for a moment that you have two credit cards. You have one credit card that has a $1,000 limit. You have another credit card that has a $9,000 limit. So, what available credit do you have? How much? $10,000 of available credit. So, on the $1,000 card, you have a $500 balance. On the $9,000 card, you have a $500 balance. So a total of $1,000 tied up. So what percentage of your available credit is tied up? Okay, you got a $1,000 card, $1,000 limit, $9,000 limit. There's $500 on this card. There's $500 on this card. So a total of $1,000. How much of your available credit is tied up? 10%. 10%. Now, let's say that you decide to pay off the $9,000 card. You pay the $500 balance that's on it. So now all that you owe is the $500 on the $1,000 card, right? So now, how much of your total credit is tied up now? 5%, right? Now, if you go to the bank and you close the $9,000 card, you say, I don't use this, I don't want it anymore, close that account. Now, you've got a $1,000 card with a $500 balance on it. How much of your available credit is tied up now? 50%. Closing that $9,000 card just shot your credit rating in the foot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because part of your credit rating is based on what percentage of your available credit is tied up.
Right.
Okay, so that will shoot your credit score way down if you close that.
Pastor, my credit score went from like a low 600. I'm at like 770 right now.
Congratulations.
Like I'm like, they're trying to send me stuff. I'm like, no, I'm good. All my stuff is still open, but it's in. Like,
Yeah.
Now get this. We found out the other day, Caleb has been on our Discover card. He's been a signer on our Discover card for how long?
Since he was 16.
Since he was 16.
So the kids could get gas.
Yeah, so they could get gas and take care of expenses and stuff when they're at school or whatever.
Shop for mom.
Yeah, shop for mom. So Caleb is on our Discover card, has been for 4 years. And so we were considering, we're about to buy him a new car, or not new, but a car for him. We found a really, really good deal on a car from one of our neighbors. They're getting ready to move to Europe, and they're going to give us this car. And it's a great car, very inexpensive price. And we were considering taking a loan out for the car and having Caleb pay on the loan so that he can build his credit up. Until we checked his beacon score. His beacon score is 789.
what?
Yeah. Because he's been on our credit card for 4 years, it has boosted up his beacon score.
It's a card that has a huge limit.
Yep.
From when I traveled all those years and I was, all those trips. Huge limit and no real balance on it. So we pay it off every
That's
month.
how we started, like Stanley. We added him to a couple of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows up on his credit report.
Yep.
So and one of them is one of my longest accounts, so it looks like he's got 10 years of credit history.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have.
Right.
But it's good because that's how he was able to qualify for
Yeah.
his car on his own, like the second one, like because of that.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
I thought.
Now, you need to be mindful too when it comes to sharing credit on your credit score. if you ever co-sign on a loan for somebody who's not responsible with their finances, that can negatively affect your credit score. So you got to be considerate of that. Now, one more thing that I want to say, and I'm going to turn it over to Louise. We talked about paying off the credit card, then paying off the car loan, then taking that money and paying off the student loan, taking that money, paying off the home mortgage. One exception to this idea is when you pay off your car, you may not want to take your car payment money and put it towards another debt. What you may want to do is take your car payment money and pay yourself, because cars wear out
Yes.
over time. So after you've paid your car off, pay that money to yourself, put it in a CD or put it in a savings account or some sort of interest-bearing account if you can. Pay that money to yourself so that when the car eventually gets to the place where it's becoming a maintenance hog and it's nickel and diming you all the time and it's time to get something else because this car's wearing out, well, that way you don't have to take out a loan because you've been paying yourself ever since you paid off the last car. So that's another thing that you can do. So with that in mind, I want to change subjects here, and we're going to talk about responsible spending. So turn it over to Louise.
Okay, responsible spending. Just to give you a little of my background, I've always done taxes, not only for myself, but for friends and family along the years. I've probably got 30 years of doing taxes for sometimes 6 to 8 people per year. So I've done quite a bit of taxes. But I started so I was always the bookkeeper of the family. Let me see a show of hands. Who would say you are the primary bookkeeper of your family?
Okay.
About 50-50 between gals and guys. Yeah, it just depends on who has that trait and who wants to do all that busy work, right? Pastor, he's not into the busy work, even though he could do it. So I tend to do that. But I was also a church bookkeeper for several years in Ohio. And then I found myself later in life the financial director of a small business with 30 employees, doing a fair amount of books then. I've been the church bookkeeper here. So in addition to my family and even helping my children in finances, so I've always been the one saying, show me the receipt. Mm-hmm. How many know bookkeepers are like, don't buy anything without giving me a receipt? I need a receipt because we just like to keep good records. We like to make sure everything balances. And all the people who balance by the penny said amen. Amen. Yeah, you guys balance by the penny. Okay, let me ask you a question. Raise your hand when you know this. Who knows exactly how much is in your bank account?
Good.
Think about it a minute.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Okay. All right. So some of you know how much. So let's talk about responsible spending. Did you know that the average person overspends what they make by about 10%?
The average American.
The average American is overspending 10%. So
It's only 10%.
you're surprised it's only 10%.
Well, for some people it is higher.
Yeah, that's
That's just the average.
That's why we have credit cards. Credit cards, we need credit cards because obviously we didn't make enough and we're going to have to buy it.
It would be a higher percentage if people didn't have withholding from their paychecks. When they come around to their tax liability time,
Right.
they don't have any money in the bank.
They don't have any money
Right.
to pay for that.
It would be
Yeah.
probably 25% or 30%
Yeah,
without that withholding.
Yeah,
That's a very good
that is a
observation.
very good point. I know other
Well, I
folks
hate
that,
government, so I'm always trying to figure out
yeah.
that's how much I feel about government.
Well, I always thought when it came to withholding that I knew how to spend my money better than just to save it, wanting a big balloon check. But some people, they actually prefer to have a big balloon check when they do their taxes. So I want to talk about some reasons as to why folks overspend. Okay, you ready? This is actually the number one I'm one of those folks that I listen to financial radio and financial shows on TV and read financial books. That's me. I just find that stuff interesting. What do you think is the number one reason that people overspend?
Marriage.
Restaurants.
They want
Marriage.
something-
to make themselves, when they be, to, what do you say, to help, no, to, if you're in, wait, to make yourself feel better, to lift yourself up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just hit it.
Exactly.
Do you see how long it took me? Because I can do that.
It's because they're dissatisfied.
Yes.
Yeah.
People are dissatisfied. That's the number one reason they spend. They're not productive in their lives. They're not producing something. So what do? They run to the store and they buy something and they say, look what I got. You know, these people, they go around, they always have a new outfit. Look what I got. Look what I got. There's actually a love deficit, which we've talked about here before. So let's pull out the scripture. Philippians 4:10 to 13.
Anybody got a Bible app
Anybody
or
got
a Bible?
I have one.
Philippians chapter 4. We're going to look at verses 10 through 13.
Verse 10 to 13.
Oops, come back here.
Whoever has it first, raise your hand.
Okay,
You got it?
Sherry.
Yeah. Philippians 4.
10, start at verse 10 and read to 13.
Okay. But I rejoice in the Lord greatly, that now at last your care of me hath flourished again, wherein ye were all so careful, but ye lacked opportunity. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therefore to be content. Yes, I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me.
Yes.
So when he's talking there about I can do all things,
Yes.
he's referring to the full gamut, whether you're in lack or whether you have plenty.
Right.
Yes.
You can do all things.
Yep.
So it's referring to the finances there. So whether we have abundance or whether we're in need, we can definitely do all things. So how about 2 Corinthians 6:10? 2 Corinthians 6:10. Who's got it? 2 Corinthians
As soon
6:10.
as you got it, raise your hand.
Teresa,
Got it, Teresa?
go.
sorrowful, yet always rejoicing, poor, yet making many rich, having nothing and yet possessing everything.
So there you go. It's not about the things. We don't need things. If there's anything we can get out of this, we need to rejoice wherever we're at and be
Right.
content wherever we're
Right.
at. That's really what the Bible's saying right there. So number 2 reason people overspend.
Restaurants.
Because they can.
They don't budget their money.
That's close to the
You're
answer.
close to getting there. Get this. They don't know how much they're spending,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They don't know how much they're spending. A lot of times they don't know how much they have in the bank. They don't even realize what they're spending, how much it's going to cost them. How many people use your debit card? Use your debit card. And then maybe you don't grab the receipt afterwards. And then all of a sudden you log into your bank and what do you find? Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep.
I forgot about that one.
Yep.
It's easy with a debit card to forget. And then you don't really know how much you're spending.
A lot of times people feel like they're okay. That doesn't feel like I spent a whole lot of money this week,
Yeah.
but they're not actually looking at their account balance. Money isn't a feeling, money is math.
I think debit cards are very dangerous, more than just
Yeah.
using There's ultimately no security and you have all the liability because they have access to your bank account.
Sure,
Credit card,
Yeah,
you've got a party between you and the offender.
yeah,
that's
I
true.
just had a fraud on me this weekend, so I'm feeding.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And
And as a
when
general
you get your
rule,
checking account, it's gone. The bank's not putting it back.
yeah,
right.
right.
As a general rule, Louise and I, we almost never use our debit card.
We don't
We
use
use the
debit.
credit card for almost everything, unless for some reason they don't take the credit card. And then what we do is we just pay the credit card off at the end of the month. So we have never paid a dime of interest on a credit card.
Not since we've been married.
Not since we've been married. We've
I
been
I
married
never
almost
have.
25 years.
But, yeah,
And you earn rewards on your credit card.
Thousands of dollars over the years that we've earned. Yeah,
We run everything through our credit card, even though we could pay cash.
yeah,
It goes through the card and it adds up to thousands.
yeah.
yep.
Now, though, retailers are starting to add the credit card fee on. Are you starting to see that more?
We have it in restaurants in Illinois.
They do that in Illinois.
If you pay cash, you get 5%
It-
off or 10. You're off your
Really?
bill.
Okay, I know
And
even,
they don't tell you that too. That's what upsets me. They should tell you that when you come in, or they should sign.
I went to get my hair done and they're like, yeah, cash, it'll be cheaper with
Well,
cash.
the thing is, processing a credit card costs you money. I mean, that's one of the reasons that here at Faith Life Worship Center, you can give cash, you can give credit card, check, you can give via PayPal, or you can give via Zelle. And the thing that we love about Zelle is Zelle doesn't cost the church anything. PayPal does. It costs us, was it
3%.
3%?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if somebody gives a $100 offering, $3 of that is going to PayPal. So, but we want to make it as accessible as we can. So we provide a lot of different ways that people can give to our ministry. But yeah, when Zelle came around, we started telling people, hey,
Use Zelle.
use Zelle. It doesn't cost
Keep
us
more
anything.
in the kingdom.
So,
Bob, then Teresa. Go ahead.
Years ago, a lot of businesses wouldn't accept American Express. They had the highest percentage of charging. They came down where they're pretty much in line with the other ones, but I'm like you. I'm a free ride user on credit cards. Use them for everything. When I get a new credit card at the bank, they want to send a debit. I says, no, I don't want it. If they send a debit card, I shred it. I will not use, they're too dangerous.
Very.
Yep.
Very dangerous.
What's too dangerous?
How did you keep a little bit of cash in the
You're
bank?
opening up your account.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Teresa?
I just wanted to share a lot of service industries now do not accept credit cards because they don't want to pay the fee. So it's either cash, check, or Zelle. And then the second thing is most Americans in 2022 are $11,131 in debt. That's the average American how much they're in debt.
Wow.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right.
Credit card debt or just overall debt? 1,000, not much.
Well,
Probably credit card.
That's probably credit card, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet that'd be a revolving credit number, yeah.
I thought that if somebody gets your credit card, or not your credit card, but your debit card, and use it, and you can prove that it wasn't you, they give you your money back.
Right.
Good
Yeah,
luck
they
with
do.
that.
They do.
It's sometimes it's difficult to prove it though, you know.
Yeah, credit card, they'll take your word for it right there on the phone,
Well,
for the most part,
What
I
I
think.
do is, and I always tell my husband too, use it as credit. Don't put your PIN, you know what I mean, like.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
like, what happened with us too, we went to, Platos over there in, off of, whatever, airport. And I wasn't paying attention, and I used my card, and I put in my PIN, because I was talking and wasn't paying attention when I made a purchase. And that was the only place that I knew that I used it, and they had a camera in there that took that, and they were reading it, so that they have one of those Apple, so be very leery of those Apple Pay stations
Yeah.
and whatnot that are
Yeah.
normal cash registers and whatever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, luckily I caught it right away, and I got the money back, but other than that, like, if you use it as a credit card, the same rules apply as a credit card.
Yeah, Ed?
So I carry 3 credit cards in my wallet right now. And my Discover card, I use the least, even though I think it's the best card. And what I do when I have anything questionable, like Kathy knows, I don't hardly ever order anything online. I just don't like, space out there. But when I do, and I'm forced to, I pull out the card that, when I get that statement, I know exactly what that was for, or I don't bunch it in with all the other credit card acquisitions.
Yeah.
I pull out the card that, it works for me, the card that, this is a questionable thing I'm buying online, I'm not sure about it. I'm
Okay.
sure about the people on the other end. So I'm taking out the card, I don't use that often, and I'm putting it on that credit card. So that triggers in my memory, hey, now remember, yes, I put it on that card.
And some credit card companies have really good security departments, and you know, they'll be monitoring your account, and the moment that they see something that looks a little weird or looks a little wonky, they're giving you a call.
Yeah,
You know, we had a situation a few years ago where I went to Miami for a NASCAR race. I bought gas at a gas station and used my credit card, and somebody had one of those card readers, those
Yes.
fraudulent card readers that they had put on there. I didn't know it. Now, most of the time when I'm filling up, I jiggle the outside of it because a lot of times those things will come off. But anyway, within, I think it was like an hour or so of me going to that gas station, somebody had bought gas at like 6 other gas stations in the first hour.
Yeah.
But Discover called us and said, hey, is this you guys? And we said, no, it's not. Oh, the first one is, but not the other ones. And so they immediately took care of
I
that.
don't mean to take Louise's time, but so this wallet here is a new wallet, and Christmas I bought it for myself, I bought my mother one too. And it has the liner with the, because in Oak Brook Mall in Oak Brook, where McDonald's Corporation is, I just had my wallet in my pocket, and sure enough, I got a call, did you spend such and such? I said, no, and the credit card's not even missing. They have your little back, those things I don't like. They can now go and walk within 20 feet of you, and if you don't have that thing that the wires in there, they can pick up your credit card numbers right on their phone.
Yep.
And then start using them.
Yep.
You need to get a wallet with, I can't. I don't like to
A
put it in
shield
my
of some
pocket.
sort, yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's happened to me twice.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but you can have it in Florida, this state.
There's a third reason that people overspend. I'll let you take that.
Okay. Third reason people overspend. Any takers?
Impulse buying.
In a sense,
That's a good
people
one.
do
They
not,
need something and they.
they
just
don't
have the money.
shop around.
Oh.
And number one things that they don't shop around, this is the number one area, is insurance.
Oh, my gosh.
My game.
How long does the average American stay with their insurance company?
Car insurance company.
Car
Anybody got a guess?
I don't know, 46 years.
It's 16 years.
16 years. People are hesitant to change. I'll tell you, I'm one of those people, as soon as I see the new quote come in, I immediately call to get it shopped.
Yep.
Whether it's homeowners insurance, car insurance, you heard us say that our homeowners insurance went up by a huge amount.
Over
As soon
60%.
as that happened and I saw the number, I picked up my phone and started calling around or asking other folks who they went with.
And guess what? We just found a company, and we're going to save how much on our
Somewhere between $1,200 and $1,600. And I
home,
have to,
homeowners?
yeah, homeowners, I have to, give them one car so they can have car insurance. But
Yeah.
still,
So in order to get that deal, we had to lump one of our cars into a package deal there.
package deal.
But the point is, we shopped.
That's a
We
mandate
shop-
in Florida. DeSantis will not let anybody come in Florida and write insurance unless they do residential.
Yeah.
Okay.
So since Hurricane Ian or whatever.
They make a killing in auto.
But a lot of folks, they go to, they see something at the store and they do the impulse buy or whatever. I always say, stop in the aisle. What does Lowe's say it is? Home Depot, Amazon, or whatever.
Yep.
Right while I'm there before I purchase the item. So I will use my phone to make sure I'm getting the
But,
cheapest
I mean,
price.
you have a wonderful piece of information right here, a wonderful tool. Use it.
Yeah.
All right?
Use it. That's
So-
that's what I do, and you ought to see my kids. They're just like me. They do the same thing, and we'll all pull out our phones if we're together, and we'll all price check it. And
Tell them the story about selling your Abeka curriculum.
okay, when Pastor Heath and I had the terrible financial time of our life, 2008 to 2011, I really didn't have money to homeschool the kids. I mean, one thing about being a homeschooler, you don't have to worry about school clothes. I mean, so I didn't have to worry about sending them to school, but I didn't have money for their books. Well, that was the year I taught myself how to eBay. And then I sold my entire book collection that I could sell that was good enough. And on $12, I schooled 2 kids an entire year.
Now get this. She would take like her teacher manual for 4th grade because she doesn't need it anymore because they just finished 4th grade. She would take that, she would put it up on eBay, and people would get in a bidding war over that book, and they would end up paying more for the used book than they would have if they would have just went to Abeka's website and bought the new one.
It happened all the time.
It happens so many times.
Yeah.
So the point that we're making is people don't shop.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it was contagious because Jessica thought, oh, Mom's learning how to eBay. So she started eBaying her toys that she had outgrown. And that's when she was 11. She decided to start saving for a car then. So she figured out how to eBay, and
Yep.
a lot came from that. Don't forget, another big area to shop around is cell phone. You guys remember when the church got a cell phone? About a year and a half ago?
Yep.
Well, they gave us a deal that if I got a different plan, that they would give us a cell phone for free. They would also give Pastor Heath and myself a cell phone for free because we didn't have 5G, and they wanted us to have 5G phones. Mm-hmm. And the bill dropped. So I went from 4 phones for our family to 5, got the 3 phones for free, and the bill dropped.
Wow.
The point is,
All because
shop.
I called
Yeah.
and asked. Many folks that are senior citizens, you can call your cable and internet company and say, I'm on a fixed income. Do you have a better package deal for me? Or if you have an option of choosing between carriers, you can just, okay, well, I'll go ahead and call the other carrier then. And they'll say, wait. Let me offer you a better deal. You'll be surprised. You don't have to always just accept their price increases. How many have shopped insurance before, cable, cell phones? Okay, so you guys know all about doing that.
You don't want to do that online, though.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you want to call them.
Emails and calls.
Get ads and everything just flooding you.
Yeah, so it's important that you definitely shop around. Another thing where a lot of folks have funds go out the window that they don't account for are for hobbies. I know some of us may say, well, shopping's my hobby. But there may be other hobbies. Who knows what Pastor Heath's favorite hobby is?
Flying.
Flying. Yes. But does he go flying every month? No, he doesn't go flying. And when he goes up, he takes other folks with him so they can split the bill. Yep. So he still gets to enjoy himself, but he's cost effective in doing so.
Anybody want to guess how many times I've flown since we started our church? I looked it up the other day in my logbook.
4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 years ago.
16.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 16.
You hit it. 16.
Yeah.
I've flown 16 times in the last. Now, don't you think I'd love to fly more often than 16 times in 4 years? 4 times a year?
Yeah, probably.
Of course I would. I'd love to go flying every week if I could. But, I mean, I realize that, this is not something financially that we can afford to do. Flying is an expensive hobby, So I fly about enough to keep my license current. And in fact, my license actually isn't current right now, because the last time that I flew was my birthday weekend in September. You got to fly every 90 days in order to keep current. So I'm not allowed to.
The hurricane took out the planes you used to fly.
Well, yeah, that's true. The hurricane destroyed a couple of the airplanes that I was flying. So, but yeah, in order to take passengers, I would have to go out to the airport, do 3 takeoffs and landings first, and then I'm current and I can take passengers. But yeah, so I barely fly enough to stay current. But
Robbie, Louise.
Oh, my hobby is just being a mother hen and keeping everyone in line.
That's a job.
it's a full-time job.
Where's the receipt?
Oh, yeah.
So one last reason for overspending. This one's kind of a little more obscure. Folks get in over their head.
To keep up with the Joneses.
That type of thing, yes. They feel they either have to keep up with some, or they don't do the research beforehand. My mom was saying, oh, well, I just went ahead and paid it anyway. People that go ahead and just pay for whatever anyway. They don't know to look. And quite honestly, the root of some of that is in pride.
True.
If you don't know something, seek someone who does know.
Yep.
You want to buy a TV or laptop, find me, or someone who's really good at, house repair, electric. I always call Sherry, or I'll talk to Juan or somebody.
Yeah.
Seek out somebody who knows something and just ask them, am I overpaying? Don't just accept whatever the price is.
And that's one of the great things about having a church family, is that we've got a wide variety of people with a wide variety of backgrounds, so we can pull from their expertise, because I don't know if I'm paying too much for this, or paying too much for that service, or what should somebody charge me for this repair on my car or on my house, or whatever it is. A lot of people don't know what they can afford. They don't know how much house they can afford. They don't know how much car they can afford. We were just talking about this before class. Don Hutchinson came up to me and he mentioned, and it's funny because we have this phrase in our notes. He mentioned how some people are house poor, right? Because they've gotten into more house than they can afford. So we're not going to be able to get too far into this tonight, but as a general rule of thumb, does anybody want to take a guess what most people say, most experts say, how much of your income should you spend on your house?
33%.
You said 1/3?
33%.
It's 1/3? Okay. And that's correct. No more than 1/3 of your income. Some people say no more than 1/4 of your income. So, but if you're spending more than 1/3 of your income on your house, you're house poor. If you have a $2,000 a month house payment and you don't make $6,000, then it's a good bet that you are house poor. Now, one exception to that rule can be if you don't have any other debt that's weighing you down, then maybe you can afford to spend more than 1/3 of your income on your house. We have never carried consumer debt. And so for the majority of our marriage, we have lived in neighborhoods where we were actually one of the lowest paid people in the entire neighborhood, because we could afford to buy a nicer house because we didn't have other debt that was weighing us down. Here I am, I'm the pastor of a small church, and my next door neighbor is a millionaire. Of the people in our neighborhood, we've got CEOs and engineers and doctors and lawyers. That's been something that's been a blessing for us, is that we have not allowed debt to weigh us down, and it's allowed us to live a more comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah. Bob?
And what a lot of people don't figure in on their mortgage, you want to figure in insurance, maintenance, electric, water. There's so many other things that come into that payment every month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was treasurer of our HOA board for 4 years. That's another place where I was involved with finances. And there we have to get 3 bids before we do anything. How many of us do that in our home? How many of us before? I just telling you, I had to get new homeowners insurance. Well, I had to have a home inspection. I even called around to get the most cost-effective person to give me a home inspection.
Sure.
Ask a realtor, do you know? I asked the insurance company. I went until I felt comfortable with the price of the one I accepted. I didn't take the first offer that I was given.
Right.
It's,
Shop.
HOAs have a rule, at least 3 bids if it's expensive. You should have that rule also. Sometimes when you look at, I don't know, if you're going to put in a new air conditioner or something like that, get quotes.
Yeah.
That,
Amen.
and then you'll feel more comfortable about spending the money too. You won't wonder if you got ripped off or not. You'll know for sure.
Yeah, Dennis.
I remember back when Irma came through.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to New Hope then, and we were a little over 2 weeks without power.
Yep.
Nothing. And finally, a man came around who was a repairman, sent out by DirecTV, who we get our television through. And he's trying to reinstall everything, and he's asking me, what kind of a deal do we have? What stations do you get? You know, what does it run? And finally I asked him, I said, why are you asking all this? He said, you're getting taken. I said, what do you mean? He said, how long have you had DirecTV? And what was it, about 2000 and?
It was 10 years.
10 years?
At least 10 years, maybe closer to about 13. And they were charging me top-notch dollar for every package they wanted to sell me. And when I asked for something like, I'm a history buff,
Okay.
so I wanted the history channel. They wouldn't give it to me as a part of a package. They wanted me to take it separately.
Ah.
$40-some a month
Wow.
for just that one station. And finally, the guy that was there to replace things for us, he said, this is what I want you to do right now. Get on the phone, call DirecTV, tell them who you are, you're an American War veteran and the whole thing, and then you're getting taken for a ride, and you either do something about getting me a decent package, or I'm going elsewhere with my money, and I'm gonna make sure that my people that I know what you've done.
Okay.
Yeah. See, that's the calling around. Yeah.
I got it that night, and it was the repairman. He says, you just call them up and tell them, I want your top package, and I want it for this price. If you can't give it to me, I'll go elsewhere and get it.
All right.
I got it that night.
Good.
Good.
Just make sure you're ready, and you can leave.
You don't always get what you deserve. You get what you contend for.
I fed the man that night. I gave him dinner. He's sitting at my dining room table, and we're talking, and then he fixed everything up.
That's great. Nick?
Fantastic.
But the Sprint T-Mobile, if you tell them you're a veteran and send them the paperwork and stuff, they took $100 off our bill a month.
Did they really?
Wow. That's great.
I love it when companies do that. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place for us to stop. Next week, we're going to get into talking about budgets. So we're going to take the spending thing a little bit further, and we'll get into budgets next week. But I thought tonight was a pretty good session. So good discussion. Hi, I'm Heath.
And I'm Louise.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, we know that you'd like it even more to visit us in person at Faith Life Worship Center in Naples, Florida.
To learn more about our church or to support our ministry financially, visit us online at flwc.info.
If you enjoyed this video, you probably ought to subscribe to our channel.
Absolutely. So watch another video and subscribe to our channel.
Or subscribe to our channel and then watch another video. Either way, we pray God's blessings on you as you dig into God's Word and learn how His kingdom works. We'll see you next time.
Bye.